Welcome to Two Girls, One Pod. I'm Yvie Jones. I was going to say recording on Wurundjeri land, but I'm recording on Wurundjeri land. Welcome to episode 2 in our special Best of Holiday Bonuses. Today, we're revisiting my chat with my old Gogglebox pal, Isabelle Silbury, who's just had a baby, but we don't talk about that because the baby's born, but she was preggers, so we do talk about that, where we chat about all the behind the scenes of Gogglebox. So this was a really popular one, and if you've missed it, you definitely want to listen to it. If you haven't missed it, listen to it again, and how both of our lives have been affected by dementia. So enjoy that. Not the dementia, but the chat. Plus, the lovely Ash Pollard joins me as well to chat all about her time on My Kitchen Rules and how she responds to trolls online. Also, that one was a great episode where we had quite a debate, and it was a really healthy and respectable debate. So we got great feedback on that one, so please enjoy again. Her name is Isabelle Gaspar. Does anyone know who that is? No, you would know her better as Isabelle Silbury from the Silburys of Gogglebox. Welcome.
Thanks, babe. I'm so happy to be here.
I'm so glad that you are here. Now, Gogglebox.
It's back.
It's back. When does it start again?
A couple of weeks.
Go. Okay, so I'd like to first say congratulations on your 6th Logie.
Thanks.
That's so exciting.
Yeah.
You would have more. But there was a couple of Logies for a while. So you would have had, I reckon you'd have 8 by now.
I know, jibbed.
Because you've never not won.
I know. It's so weird. Every time we're up for it, I'm like, no, there's, way better TV shows. And then we get it again. And I'm like, oh.
Well, because people love it. I was just out in the reception talking to 2 women about Gogglebox. Everyone I see that knows who I am or recognises me, always, it's only ever Gogglebox. It is, I reckon, maybe 1% people will say to me, oh, you were on The Jungle. Oh, you were on something else. Or you were on... No, it's always Gogglebox. Oh, and then second question, do you miss it? And my answer is yes.
Do you?
Absolutely.
What do you miss about it?
Well, I don't miss the intrusion of people coming in my house and putting leads everywhere and then breaking something every week. But that was okay because you could always get it replaced.
Oh, yeah.
You're like, that was from King Furniture. It was really from Fantastic Furniture. But no, I miss... You know what I miss about it is watching it back and not just watching us, watching all of us be so similar. And because it's such a family. What I want to talk about with you that I think that I know our audience is going to absolutely love. And I know you are still contracted to this show, so there's a lot that you can't talk about. But that's actually what I want to talk about. I want to talk about when we first started. Like, I did the first season, you came in the second season. Yep. And we were told we were not allowed to be in contact with each other.
I've never been so scared in my life.
Me neither. Because we all had never done... Well, you had done Rock Wiz. You used to be a producer.
Yeah, but I had never been on TV.
No. So we, as talent, we didn't know what we were up for as far as suing liability.
Oh, yeah.
Like, if we contacted each other, number one, we all must have thought the same thing. Number one, are you going to rat me out? Because I don't know who you really are.
We didn't know each other at all.
Number 2, is someone going to find out and rat us both out?
Yeah, someone going to dip a job.
Yeah, who is it going to be? And it was so funny because Angie and I had each other. Obviously, each household has each other to talk to only. But it was you and us, me and Angie. We were the first to break.
Yeah, we did.
So it was season 3.
How did we do it? Was it on Instagram?
It was on Instagram. I can still remember it. We followed each other.
Oh, naughty.
I started following everyone. And then we just said to you, if you're ever in Sydney, let us know. And you said, I'm in Sydney this weekend. And oops, we'll just run into you. Where do you want us to be? Yeah. Well, and I said, we went to the Acre. We went to this great place in Camperdown.
I remember.
And we sat on the ground with your friend Vanessa, the 4 of us just drinking wine and talking and talking and talking. And like, it was like we'd known each other forever.
Yeah.
So it was funny because as far as the whole family world goes of Gogglebox. I feel like because we were the first to make contact with each other, that it was like we've known each other longer than anyone else has known each other.
Yeah.
But then there's the Melbourne-Sydney factor.
Yes.
And now we've got Brisbane involved.
Yes.
So we've got it again. At the end of every season, there is it used to be just our EP taking each household out for a celebratory thank you
And we did
dinner.
that for a few years.
Did that for a few seasons. And then we started having get-togethers as groups, but it would only still be Sydney and Melbourne. They never made it everyone.
Guess what?
What?
We're doing everyone.
Yay!
It's only taken 18 seasons. But at the end of this season, we're flying up to Sydney and we're going to have a get-together organised by them.
That is so good. Finally.
Yes.
Finally.
I am so happy because I haven't met anyone else.
No. And it's different crew. Although I know a friend of mine who produced last season and she did Adam Simon as well as the Farts in Sydney. Maddie's
Sarah and Jad.
And she did it remotely. So there is a bit of difference. And through lockdown, you guys had it. How was it done that way?
Oh, it was remote. So, they came and set up everything. And then poor mum, she had to be a producer and an audio person and everything.
I love that.
Well, no, she just got she hated it. I mean, she's 70 years old. She has no idea what she's doing.
Yeah.
It's
like a new TV.
It just felt so disconnected, but we got through it. We did what we had to. I mean, lucky we were the only TV show that kept running through lockdown.
Yeah.
And I think everyone was really fighting for that because it got people through.
Yeah, it did.
But it was very different. But now we've got a proper crew. It's all back.
Are you happy to have it back? And you don't have Emmy is what you're about to say.
That was what I was about to say.
So let's talk about that because it was only last season or the season before. It was only last season that was the first one without her, wasn't it?
Yep. Yeah, it was very weird for us.
So what's happened with Emmy?
So, she was living with Mum and we all got to a point as a family that she just wasn't safe by herself at home anymore.
Yep.
That was really what it came down to it. She was forgetting to take her meds and not eating properly. And, yes, we could have continued, but we thought we love her and the best thing for her is to have 24/7 care. Yeah. So Mum had an operation. We popped her into care around the corner from our house and she just loved it. She loved it.
That's so good.
It's 5-star. We're talking wine with dinner. We're talking exercise classes, music, everything. She has made friends. She is more alive than I've seen her in years, to be honest.
That is so good to hear because, a lot of people listening have ageing parents and you never know if it's going to work for someone. But, I think, though, there's unfortunately the privilege of having money. It makes a huge difference.
It does, yep.
She's obviously being cared for very, very well in a very, but I think my dad, who also has dementia, that he would, I think he'd do actually really well as well, but he's so adamant not to. Yeah. And he's still in that lucidity of making decisions that we can't just force him in.
Yeah.
And so anyway.
I know, the forcing, I know. We're so lucky that she's that type of personality, though, that just goes with the flow.
Yes.
And she's so open and positive.
She's a popular person. She's got a great personality.
Yeah, she talks to
She
anyone.
likes people.
Yep.
So, and people love her.
Yep.
Do any of them know who she is?
No. They don't even know who they are. No, and you know what? She still remembers us.
Yeah, okay.
And, we do talk about Gogglebox. She hasn't quite worked out,
Yeah, because there's time off.
And, I have to remind her that I'm pregnant all the time.
Yes.
But it's such a beautiful thing with dementia. You've got to look at the positives.
You do.
And the positives are that we get to relive beautiful moments over and over again.
Yes. Because they talk about the past so often.
Yeah.
Apparently that's Alzheimer's.
Oh,
so, and that's what I'm learning as well because my dad lives in the past and he regresses to it as well, like how he behaved in the past.
Yeah.
And apparently that's an Alzheimer's. So, the umbrella is the dementia and then you've got all the I guess, branches underneath. That's an Alzheimer's symptom. So that is a beautiful. My grandmother died of dementia, and she was French, and she went back to, they say 27 in places like, I think, Norway. They have these villages. Have you seen these villages where they make them and they go shopping every day and they do whatever they did?
Yes.
Because they all go back to 27. That's the age, apparently, around that age. So my grandmother at that age was out of the like she'd been in a labour camp, had 2 children by then, was kind of, trying to make her way from Germany to France to Poland, not knowing where the hell they were going to go. But by that time, she had no English, but she had 6 languages. Oh my gosh. So because she already had the French, and in the labour camps, it was filled with others.
Yeah.
So she learned all the Slavic languages and then English finally when they got to Australia. But she was speaking to us only in French or Polish. And when my mum and I would, this was right towards the end, when we would go in, she would look at us. Oh, it's making me cry. She would look at us and go, who are you? And, oh, you're so beautiful. And she'd put her hand out and touch Mum and I and say, you're both so beautiful. Who are you? Like
it was the first time.
And it was so lovely because, they can go either way. And obviously, Emmy doesn't have that aggression in her, which some of them, they may not, and then they end up having it. God help if she, let's pray forever that she doesn't. But it's so beautiful because they do regress into this and they tell you these amazing stories.
Oh, the stories is so good.
Her story is also in a book. I want to talk about your book. It's called
Out of the Box.
Which is great because you're on Gogglebox and you're out of the box and you've written a book about being out of the box, but you're not out of the box, but it's kind of out of the box. But
also it's the secrets that come out of the box. It's telling all.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And not being in the box of life, because the 3 of you are very different women. I spoke about you this morning to a man in the park who I've always met his partner in the park with their 2 little chihuahuas, and I met his partner. He was like, it's funny that we've never, how often do you, I say I come to this park every day.
So you know the dogs, but you don't know the owners, always.
Well, I knew one owner, the partner owner, but I hadn't seen this owner. So he was like, I come all the time. We must just miss each other. So we were talking about you and the book and everything. He said, I really like those 3 women. They're just so progressive. And he said, Emmy, the stories she would tell on Gogglebox, I said, you got to go and read their book because her story, it's all 3 of you, isn't it? Tell me about the premise of the book.
So the premise of the book is 3 generations, 3 stories, but also we talk about all different subjects that women go through, but from 3 sort of points of views from 3 generations. Yeah. So we don't all necessarily agree, but it is really fascinating to have gotten Emmy's story down. She's got such an amazing
And it was only a couple of years ago you wrote this book.
Yeah.
That was a really, really good time.
No, it was a year ago we published it. Yeah. I know, and she came on book tour with us and she was, signing books.
In a way, though, because what dementia does, you could have written it now anyway because of the stories.
Yeah.
So, okay, yeah. And I think it's great that you've got the different and you may not agree. But is there much agreeing in it?
Yeah, I think we're more alike than we realise, to be honest. And it does sort of, when you finish reading it, you really do see a pattern of transgenerational trauma. It really is a thing.
And you 3 would really be able to show it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And we've all been through very similar things in life, and we've dealt with it differently and we have different points of view, but we've also supported each other through those things.
Big time.
Big time. And that's what I think has brought us so close.
I love, it's funny because I know the 3 of you and I've seen the way, we all have seen the way you speak to each other, but the love you have for each other, that's something I covet. I miss that with my mum because she was the only one that in my whole family that, I spoke to like that. But I never, ever spoke to my mum about sex or, towards the end of my mum's life I did just because I thought it was hilarious.
Yeah.
But she certainly never did. So there's a lot of learning for parents and mothers.
Yeah.
Who watch the three of you or read the three of you and say, this is a pretty cool relationship you can have with your daughter and or your granddaughter, your great-granddaughter, that works.
Yeah, I've had a lot of people actually come up to me and say, oh, you know, I'm a mother and my daughter is very young and I really want to be how your family are, you know, really open and just honest.
How does that make you feel?
Really good. Look, if I can do anything with Gogglebox or the fame or whatever, it's just to, influence people in a nice way.
And do good.
Yeah.
And you do good. You're a great writer as well. You wrote that book, but you also write a lot for
Mamma Mia, Kids Spot.
Mamma Mia, Kids Spot. You write beautiful articles, can I say? They're really thought-provoking and you really open up, and that's what I love about them so much.
Thanks.
I read things, your articles, and I'm like, oh, I didn't know that about you, which is really great, you know, because that's what I think a good writer does is even their own partner goes, oh, I didn't know that about you.
Yeah.
That's a great writer to me. Now, just going back to your book.
Yes.
The best thing about this is you've been offered a TV show. To make this book into a TV show. Congratulations.
Thank you.
I am so, as a Goggleboxer, I'm so excited because we love TV. Goggleboxers love TV. So this is a TV show that we're going to be able to watch. And tell me about, how did that happen?
Yeah, so my background is production, so TV, but on the behind-the-scenes, you know, side of things. And I've always been really passionate about storytelling, hence why I decided to write the book. But, I got in contact with Aquarius Films, and the ladies there are also on the same page.
I love Aquarius Films, just by the way. I love them. And they're women-led. Yeah. And that's why I love them.
Their whole vision and purpose is to tell women's stories.
What other shows do they do?
They do Love Me, and they made Lion with Nicole Kidman.
Oh, I
but
love
they're
that.
amazing women. So I got in contact with them and pitched this. I told them to read the book, and they just loved it. And they really saw the same vision as me. And it was, you know, we don't have to stick to the actual stories. It is about women's stories of all ages. And it's just being, really honest and raw. And I am so excited to make this. Yeah.
I'm excited as well. And it was funny because I was watching an Australian story with Heather Mitchell. And she, at the end of it, was talking about her current projects, and they were in, she was in a writer's room. So there's the round table. You know what a writer's room looks like. And there's Isabelle sitting in the middle of it having a chat. And I'm like, whoa, hang on, something's happening. And I text you because then I spoke to a mutual friend and he gave me an insight of who will be starring. I just text you 3 stars' names. Never heard back from you.
Have you not known this about me?
I know. I did not expect to hear back from you. Or I thought I might get a wink or I don't know. But I didn't hear back. Didn't get offended because I never get offended. You're like me. People know. Sometimes we just don't reply to texts and whatever, don't get offended. No. We just don't. It doesn't mean a thing.
I think I have a thing. I need to go and see someone about it. I just don't. I don't write back to texts.
Yeah, I can be a bit like that as well. Do you think we should see the same person?
Maybe
we should text each other about it. Do you think if we text each other about it, we'll get over it?
We could break through.
Or do you think we'll just get to the point where we only text each other? And we're like, I know what we can do. Why don't we text each other's texts back to the people that want to know? We go, sorry, I'm a representative for Isabelle.
I can only text on
but this is what I think she'd say. Welcome.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
I'm really glad to have you here.
Yeah.
Now, Ash, talk to me. What makes you such
well, that's a very wonderful question, and I often ask myself that.
Is that okay to ask you?
So fine. But define it. Define the in me.
All right, let me explain to you what a
is.
What a is.
Yeah.
Oh, there's a lot of going to be beeping in this episode.
Oh, you can't have it?
No.
Oh.
The S-bombs.
You guys have chosen the wrong person for your first 2 Girls, 1 Pot episode. Anyway, look, we digress.
What I wanted to say is that And it's funny because your last name's Pollard. You're polarising.
Yes, I've heard it.
Yep, you're one or the other. People love you or hate you. I absolutely adore you.
Thanks.
Because of who you are, and people absolutely hate you because of who you are. I want to know how you became who you are. You are one of the most confident people I've ever met. I watch you and you inspire me.
Oh, thank you. That's really kind.
I really like you. And I watch the way you talk, the way you do things, the way you speak to people, the way you speak about things, and I can see exactly what would bristle so many people. But I also see exactly what that does for me, which is so, I guess I covet you. I go, oh, I want to be that. I want that confidence. I want that honesty. I want to be able to say what I'm thinking in my brain without to give, without apologising or saying first, look, I'm sorry, I'm sorry I'm going to say this. But because as women, the patriarchy has taught us to be sorry all the time, to never speak our mind, to unshine ourselves, to dull ourselves down. And I look at you and you, to me, you shine.
Do you know what I think it is? I reckon I'm pretty self-aware, reasonably self-aware, but also probably not as well, which is why I can be so bristly. And I am still told by my parents and my mum, don't say that, or you need to delete that story, that's horrible, or what you're saying is disgusting. You know what I mean?
So you have that parenting, but you still do it anyway?
Yes.
So it hasn't affected you?
Well, it does.
It does?
It does, because I get a little sprinkle of anxiety when I read or hear that from anybody, and I'm like, oh, God, and then I get paranoid about it. I do worry about it.
Yeah.
But I think to myself, I am where I am because of it.
Yeah.
And yes, you can call me and all of those kind of things, but I feel like I'm not necessarily I'm just saying things that people think that they don't have the balls to say. So whilst you're saying that you're mean, Ash, like you could say to me, that's mean, don't you dare tell me that you haven't thought it.
Thank you.
Like the nicest person in the world is still judgmental, because as a human,
it's what we do.
It is what we do.
It's exactly what we do.
But I feel like there is an art to delivering conversation and quips and things like that.
You have the art down to a fine art, the gift down to an art.
Thanks.
I think you do.
Thank you.
I think you do.
I don't know, though, if that's intentional. I kind of just believe that is just who I have always been. I have always been a bit of a performer. I have always kind of been a bit out there.
Yeah.
And I'm sus on whether or not I should delve into this or even say it, because everybody's saying it, and I think, is it a trend or is it not?
Say it.
The ADHD, ADD thing.
I'm
sick of hearing about it. I am sick of hearing about it.
Yeah.
But I might have some of that with respect. And, you know, I don't think that my personality is just like, she's a bitch and she doesn't care. That's not me, because I actually do care, and I do get paranoid if I hurt somebody's feelings or if I accidentally say something and it comes out the wrong way. That's not how I was intending it to be.
That's what I was going to ask you. Does it hurt? Because if there's a massive difference between being mean and being honest, and being mean...
Or it can be one in the same.
Well, yeah, but you're having malice?
Yes.
And being honest. So you say things, and you can say mean things, but if you hurt someone's feelings, that's what I wanted to know. Does it really hurt you that you go, oh, I didn't mean to hurt you?
Yes, I get very anxious and worried that I've upset that person. It bothers me, because I'm human.
Can I ask you something else then that may, we just talked about the ADHD stuff, and these are diagnoses that for women especially have gone just undone. It was a boys' disorder, and it was never something that we were even allowed to look at. I had ADHD from a very young age and
Diagnosed?
well, wanted to be, but my parents were like, that's a boy's thing. She just drinks too much red cordial. So it was, no, it's a boy's thing. So it wasn't diagnosed young at all.
So I was often sent to behavioural therapists a lot as a kid because my report card always said that I was disruptive.
Same.
And, all the typical...
If only she could... She's very smart. If only she would sit still and concentrate.
And apply herself. That's always...
We could put our report cards together and they would just be the same.
So my mum just sent me to like Kip McGrath, which are those extracurricular things, and, I'd have to go to all of those. I had a maths tutor and a this tutor and a that tutor, and I was at performing arts school to try and get it out of me that way.
But when you just said then your parents sent you to behavioural things, just those
like
stuff?
Doctors and like mum was like, what's up? Like what is there something not wrong, but...
Yeah.
And all the doctors was like, nah, she's just naughty. But here I am after 2 children, and I have to tell you, my brain is actually getting worse. So I'm getting sicker in my head in terms of like how I think, how I process things, how I am in conversations. I forget a lot of stuff. I can't apply myself anymore. I'm really paranoid and I'm really anxious, and no psychologist has ever worked for me. I've been to them all.
You have?
Yep. And so now I'm at a psychiatrist.
Big difference.
Big difference. I'm at the beginning, and also this person is a guy. Mm-hmm. So I've always had women.
Right.
So now I'm at a guy, and we're at the beginning, and I said to the guy, look, I want to float the ADD thing. I'm embarrassed to even bring it up because I sort of just think, is it a trend?
I don't want to jump on.
Don't want to jump on, but let's just put it there in case. And he's like, right, well, I acknowledge that. Let's just work through your life and, we'll get to that and we'll just see what we can do for you now. And I'm like, also don't want to be medicated. Let's try and because I want to try and work through it in my brain. I want to get my brain strong and get there with my brain, hopefully, before I get the meds.
Do you think the meds could help you do that, though?
Potentially, but I've already done meds before.
Those type?
No.
Because those
anxiety
type are
meds.
Yeah, very different.
Yeah.
I'm not a doctor. I'm going to preface all of this with we are not medical professionals, so we can only, say what we know from medical professionals.
Yeah.
I do know my friends that are on ADHD medicine. It doesn't last like more than a day. Like it's not the kind of med like an anxiety. It's not a 24-hour thing. And that's what I have found when people have said, I don't want to take the meds, especially with ADHD. When they do, it's like, oh my God, I have the best morning because I get the shit done.
I get that.
And then you don't have to take them every day.
Yeah.
You just have them when you need them.
I'm a very firm, but like your brain is a muscle.
Yeah.
So it's like going to the gym.
Yeah.
So I feel like let's try that way first. Let's do the brain gym first.
Okay.
And if that's not working for me,
they're there.
Then, yeah.
Because that's a great. I'm really glad that you say that because to have it open, there's some people that just say, I just won't point blank ever take a medication for something that probably will really help me. So you're open to it.
I'm
and that's
open
fantastic.
to it. Yeah.
So what you were just saying then, the things that were not working for you and everything, they call that the masking, don't they? You go through life and you learn how to act a certain way as someone that has attention deficit hyper disorder.
I just said to my partner the other day, he's like, but you seem fine. And I said, honestly, I am a professional at seeming fine.
Yeah.
I'm uppity. I'm just get shit done. Boom, hustle. And then every month I'll have an absolute spiral.
Yeah.
And I'll just be inconsolable.
Yeah.
And
because the whole take over and you can't mask anymore. And then it gets to a point, they say, that with the ADHD masking, the masks come off completely and you just can't even use them. You're like, I don't even know how to find my mask anymore. And that's when you get to that point of I'm going to need medical help, like medicinal help or medicational help or something like that.
I also tried medicinal marijuana.
Yeah, right.
CBD oil.
Yeah. My friends have as well. And how did that go for you?
It sort of just takes the edge off.
Yeah,
I didn't pursue it enough.
Yeah.
But, that's another option too.
It's a great option, yeah, and it's a good one, especially for people who don't want to do medication.
Yeah.
But I find the people that start on the CBD end up going over to the medication anyway because they're like, oh, me, why did I not do this earlier? This has changed my life. There was a friend of mine who's a comedian, and he goes away when he's off filming. He goes away with his wife, and he said, that's when I don't take my meds. So he goes, I have such a great partner because she allows me to go into my ADHD self and accepts it. And, he said it's just this nice holiday from the meds as well. Like I get to just not know what I'm doing.
I tell you what, it's busy in a brain that's just. I mean, I don't know that I've got it. I'm just saying, like my brain is so busy.
Yeah,
I'm sick of it.
Yeah,
sick to death of it.
Exhausted.
Yeah. So anyway, I don't want to harp on about this because I feel like every man and his dog talks about this shit.
But I do as well. But I love how aware we are now, the awareness of it, that we can even talk about this stuff because this morning I read an article. It is still highly undiagnosed and hard to
diagnose. Because no one can get into a therapist.
Because all of a sudden we're aware of it and that we just don't have the supply for demand as far as psychiatrists go. And it's so expensive. Like imagine if you didn't have the money at all.
Trudge.
Or if you had kids that had it.
Can I tell you, I don't really have the money.
No.
Because I'm just, this sounds so first worldy, but whatever. Because I'm just siphoning it into my brand new mansion that I'm building. But the money that I find for my therapy sessions, I sell shit on Marketplace.
Good. Yeah.
So, thrifty bitch.
Yeah. Well, that's what a lot of people have to do.
Yeah.
People think that, you're in this kind of industry and that you've got money or that your husband is a builder and he's going to have billions of money.
No, thank you, because I'm paying for half of that thing. Thanks.
Well, yeah, you're renovating. No, you're building.
I'm not jumping on his financial back, thanks.
Yeah, good. Yeah. No, and you're not that kind of woman. And a lot of women aren't anymore.
We don't even have a joint bank account.
Oh, wow, good. No. Good. That's really smart. So you're building a house, you're renting another house.
Yeah.
You got 2 kids in daycare.
Yeah.
And you've got not a full-time job. Like you don't go that 9 to 5 every day.
No.
You're hustling.
Yes. But what I will say, off the back of the career that I have had, which actually I worked out, it's so random to say, has spanned a decade.
Wow.
Yeah. So I've had a career in reality television and radio that's spanned just coming on 10 years. Yeah.
Because I remember watching you on MKR as Gogglebox, and that would have been our second season. So same.
Yes.
10 years.
And I've made a career out of that, which has kind of now sort of melted into influencing on Instagram. And I used to poo-poo that.
I know. I did as well. But you're like me. You choose good product.
Yes.
Products that you do actually use and like. I'm exactly the same. And that's a very different influencer, I believe.
Yes. I don't plug everything that comes across my desk.
No.
But also I now really appreciate that platform and what it has done for my life.
Yeah.
And it is very lucrative, and I still know that people think it's a crock of shit and they're just jealous.
Yeah, so absolutely. Jealous, threatened, they don't really get it either.
Yeah, but they're also not smart enough to make their own side hustle.
Yeah, that's right. And they like to call it integrity. It's like, if you could, you would.
Listen, no, I'm not going to say that.
Go on.
Because it's cancelable.
Okay. That's the other
It's kind of a Kim Kardashian one-liner. Get off your ass and what does she say?
Do the work hard and get off your ass and work hard.
And everyone's like, shut up, you bitch. You're a billionaire.
Yeah. I mean, someone like that saying something like that is so ableist. Not ableist, sorry, classist. It's like, f*** off.
Yeah, it's just crazy.
Money, and you've just made money and you've made, all you do is make money and you made assholes big.
Made assholes big?
Butt cheeks.
You made assholes big. You made butts fashionable, big and big.
And you know what? They cushion assholes.
Yeah.
You're like me because we're been in the industry now 10 years and we've seen people be cancelled. So you want to be really honest and kind of stand by what you believe, what your beliefs are, but you also don't want to offend people, but you're also okay to offend people that are just pearl clutchers, you know, because you're the CUN in my mind a good way, you're always on the precipice of being cancelled. But this is what I want to say to you. Is I watch your stories all the time and I don't know what your DMs are like, but I know what your followers are like. You have about more than me, but about the same. We've always had about the same amount of followers. And I have had people that still DM me to this day that I've had since the beginning of Gogglebox, and they get me. They love me, and I know them now. Like 10 years we've been I've never met them in real life, but I know their names. I see them come up.
Fiercely loyal.
Fiercely loyal. And that's what I was going to say. Your engagement would be the same as mine. And that's why we choose product to our flog that we actually use and like, because we have these people that we know now that our engagement is very high, even though our following may not be as high as like 500,000. Their engagement might be shit house.
Yes.
And it's all about engagement.
That's
are we
sells,
going to get someone to buy this product?
Yeah.
So if me and my manager, and I'm sure you and your manager would be the same, say to you know, Ash is going to be honest about this. Do you want that? If she doesn't like the product, she's not going to tell everyone to buy it. Mm-hmm. My manager does the same. Yvie's not going to, you know, flog this if she doesn't actually use it and think it's good just for money, because her followers will know. I feel so awful when someone says, do you really like that product? And I'll go, yes. Or if I go, I'll actually say, I actually wish I hadn't now. There was only one.
People do try and trip me up
Mm-hmm.
and, you know, write things in the comments of the ads that, you know, I don't know why they do it, but they're not like my fiercely loyal follower. They're just someone who's come in here just to have a go.
Yeah.
And I'll just put them straight back in their box. Like, you know?
You're one person I'd never take on as a troll, but they don't care, do they?
Not really, but more often than not, the idiots that comment are just dummies anyway.
Yeah. They're easy to get.
You know, like they've probably got 2 metres of regrowth in their hair sitting in their Povo lounge room.
Absolutely.
So I don't care.
Are you looking at my 2 metres of regrowth and thinking about that? Because I so need to dye my own hair.
God, I hadn't even noticed until you said it.
Also, I wanted to ask you a personal question.
Yeah.
Have you ever tried to grow your hair really, really long?
Yes.
And does it not grow, or do you just not like it?
It doesn't grow.
Mine doesn't either.
But also since I had kids, my hair's just turned to
Crazy.
shit.
Yeah.
And it's not as curly and thick as what it used to be. So I can't even. And beforehand, I just think long hair on some people doesn't look good. You need to know what looks good on you.
No, I totally agree. Every time I get my hair to a point and then it stops growing, it's almost like my hair's talking to me and going, you don't want it any longer than this because you do not suit having long hair. I'll put clip-ins in and I look
long clips.
Hair. I look like Vicky Pollard from.
Love Vicky.
It's so bad. That's what I look like with clip-ins in.
Okay, just quickly on that. So when I was young, I was bullied all the time at school because of my hair. I was like the only person at school that had curly hair. It was very, very unusual. And I would come home and I would be so distraught, so upset. I'd be crying always. And Mum would always say to me, don't worry, they're just jealous. And I believed it. I dead set believed that. And I took that piece of advice through my entire life, even now.
Good.
And that might sound really juvenile to do that and, you know, whatever, but it's helped me. Yeah. And sometimes I have to just think to myself, if anybody says that about me, I actually just feel like, poor you.
I was going to say, sad you.
Yeah.
You're just jealous.
Like...
Well, and at the end of the day, for someone to pick on someone because of their hair is so pathetic.
Pathetic.
And it is a jealous thing.
But even just anything, like you were saying, the bullying on I'm a celeb, I'm like, you know, whilst a lot of those other women were really famous and very successful, they were probably looking at me like, look at this scummy reality TV person that it's like literally people think of reality television people like that they've just been born out of the womb and they're They've just been
Done nothing else.
In
life.
Like, how f***ing close-minded can you be?
Yeah, very disrespectful.
Like, bitch, you have no idea what I've done in my life, and
Exactly.
it's epic.
Yeah,
And I
exactly.
bet you any money you've not done any of it.
Or they have, and they think they're the only ones that have. Therefore, how very dare you?
How very dare you?
There's a lot of that, and that's what I actually saw in the jungle, that there was a lot of projection of, I've done this. You are saying you've done that, but I don't believe that you have because
Yeah.
I've not seen it myself. It's that whole putting your head in the sand and going, well, if I haven't seen it, it doesn't exist. So if I don't know this woman, who the hell is she? And where the hell does she get all that confidence from?
So I remember having a conversation with Steve Price in the jungle, who can often get himself into a little bit of strife.
Yep.
And I was telling him about my life before television, and he was genuinely like gobsmacked.
Yep.
He was like, how stupid am I? I felt like I read that in his eyes.
Yeah.
How silly am I to have judged this girl that I just thought was like just some reality TV
Yeah, wannabe. Exactly.
And then we formed a really good friendship out of that show, because he was like, damn, I maybe he learnt that about himself, that he judges too quickly.
Well, he learned a lot on that show, which
Yeah.
was wonderful to watch.
Yeah. So that's just an example of, you know, I often do bring that
Yes.
piece of advice into my life now and again when I'm feeling like I've got the target on me.
Thanks for listening. Please head to Apple Podcasts and rate and review the show. 5 stars only. Come on, if you want to touch me, please email me at 2girls@novapodcast.com.au. And don't forget to follow me, Yvie_Jones, and Nova Podcast Official on the Instagrams, where you get all of the behind the scenes stuff.